Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for
Hey.
joining me. Do you all know if it's just you two or you have more?
We have one more that should be joining us.
Awesome. Thanks. Sorry for the delay. I had to switch accounts and I didn't realize it, so I'm a minute behind.
Okay, I've been there. My first one, I completely freaked out. I called Zach like, I don't think I'm doing this right.
Yeah. First, he gave us a separate Zoom account, and then I didn't realize it was a different one for this different one. So yeah, thank you for understanding. All right. Looks like we got 3 now. So hi, I'm Emily, and I'm your facilitator, and I will just share a couple quick things with you as a reminder. So just as a reminder, well, first of all, thank you for participating and for being willing to share about this.
Sure.
We're going to start broadcasting right at 3:30, so that gives us a couple minutes to share here. We'll begin with an opening slide. I just have a few quick announcements, and then I'll stop sharing and turn off my video, and whichever one of you is going to start can take over. And we will end at 4:15, and I'll turn my video back on and share a final quick reminders before they go. We are recording the presentation, so it's available for the students who couldn't attend. And just a reminder to mute yourself when you're not speaking. StriveScan will be sending you a list of all the participants registered for the session and a transcript of all the questions from the Q&A. And you'll get that in the next week or so. And then the students can ask their questions via the Q&A. It's your choice if you want to stop during or if you want to wait until after. You can just click the Q&A button and it will show you what's coming in. We recommend not to click answer live because otherwise it shows everybody the student's name and their question. So it's probably just better for you to read it out and to answer it for everybody. And then once you're done, you can click dismiss and it will hide the question so you know what you've answered. Or you can also type it to them and send it privately. And if you don't get to every question, you will get the transcript and you will get the students attending. So you could always go back and contact them later if you need to. And if you do get a lot of questions, you can let them know that you could follow up. All right, and then we're at our practice. So do you all, I assume you're going to be sharing the screen, and do you want to practice?
Mhm.
Who's starting with sharing, or do you have one person?
Torrance, are you?
Give me 1 second, guys. I'm pulling it up now.
Oh, okay. I thought Torrance was going to do it. Gotcha.
And do you all have a video or it's just presenting?
No, we're just presenting. We don't have a video.
Okay, then we don't need to practice sound.
I gotta get my Zoom back up here, guys.
Y'all, my stopwatch was still running, so it's almost exactly 24 hours since we did our last.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, here we go, guys. Tell me if you can see it well and clear.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, awesome.
Try going to the next slide to see how that works.
Good point, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Looks good.
You ready, guys?
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready to rock and
So,
roll.
2 more of these.
3-minute countdown.
How many more?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said, how many more do you guys have?
Oh, I think this is Faye's last one.
Okay, that's good.
This is my final one. I have done a total of 4. I did 1 in Wisconsin and 2 panel, and then our own institutional informational in Illinois.
Well, those of us in the high school world really appreciate it, so thank you.
This is my last one as well.
We do. We appreciate you guys because I just got off the phone and I represent Indiana State School and the high schools over there. They're having different issues that I was like, yeah, no, I'm not seeing that. So like when I go to a
Yeah.
visit in person, that's the same thing that's happening right now virtually. So a kid shows up.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like,
Well, that's probably makes it better.
it's cool.
All right, so we got a minute left. So actually, unfortunately, I have to have you stop sharing, and I have to show them the intro slide. So I will pull that up, and then
And we
perfect. And then as soon as the, I'm sorry, say again.
No, I was just saying, don't forget to mute when we're not talking, so we don't have that background noise.
Yeah, good. All right. Okay, here we go. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are happy to have you here. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for Illinois Students, sponsored by the Illinois Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. We're happy to have you with us. Just a few quick announcements. How do you ask questions during the presentation? You can go ahead and use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time, and they will pause whenever they feel appropriate to answer. Your camera and your microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many sessions that's happening, so be sure to check the full schedule at IACAC.org. And this presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, IACAC.org. And so I'd like to welcome our presenters and let them take over.
So, hi everybody. I'm going to start us all off. Welcome you all to Paying for College One-on-One. I want to appreciate you all for being here. We're going to be going through our presentation, but if you have any questions throughout any time, feel free to just go ahead and type it in the Q&A and we'll go ahead and address it when it comes up, okay? My name is Torrance Baldwin and I'm the college representative from Missouri Southern State University.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. My name is Sarah Gorey, and I am with Southern Illinois University, Carbondale.
And I am Faye Eichner. I'm one of the associate directors at Purdue University Northwest.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with talking about the direct and indirect costs associated with college. So you're going to get two different kinds of costs associated with paying for school, of course, and those costs are direct and indirect. So direct is going to be consistent of your tuition, your fees, and room and board. So this is going to vary from college to college, obviously, because not every college has the same tuition and not every college has the same room and board. It also is going to vary on the type of student and what experience they want. Not every student wants to live on campus. So that's going to vary from student to student. With indirect costs, that's going to be considering your books and transportation. So for students that decide to commute to campus, they're going to have different prices involved as opposed to students who decide to live on campus, okay? So there you go for your direct and indirect costs, and they're both going to be varied when calculating what your financial aid package will be. So we have some numbers here, and it's a good idea to keep numbers in your head just so you know what to expect. However, these numbers are only pertaining to Illinois. So if you're in another state, for instance, then it may not be pertinent to you, but it's also an average amount. So it's not the same for every school. So if we're looking at the 2-year college, which is going to be community college, we're looking at about 3,700 in room and board, maybe 8,900. And you can go on down the list and you can see. So the 4-year in-state college is going to be next for least inexpensive. And the out-of-state college coming at $26,800. That's going to be more, it's going to cost you a little bit more. And the top two pricey colleges are going to be your private colleges. They're up to be maybe $36,800. And when your prestigious college, like maybe Ivy League colleges, they're going to be maybe $60,000 or more. So it's definitely going to require a lot more planning when it comes to your costs, but just to keep that number in mind, okay? So we have a few different websites that are available online, and this is just one of those particular websites that you are able to compare the cost of colleges and compare colleges overall. So this bigfuture.collegeboard.org is a website you can use to compare tuition costs or costs across colleges, or you can compare enrollment size across colleges, also admission requirements. So you can actually compare up to 3 colleges, create an account, and you can find scholarships on there as well. So if you want an easy way to look at the colleges and what they will cost, then bigfuture.org is definitely one of those places where you can go, okay? So make sure you keep that website in the back of your brain.
All right, guys. So now we are going to talk all things about FAFSA. We're going to talk the who, the what, the where, the why, and the how. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. What it is money to pay for college or career. When we say career, we mean trade school. So some students will come up to us and they want to do, say, culinary or maybe cosmetology. Depending on the school, financial aid may be a factor for them there as well. So if you're doing the FAFSA, and this is why you should apply, the money that you will receive will be grants, work study, loans, scholarships, a combination of all, maybe 1 or 2, but it just depends on what you're going to need. And you want to make sure, even if you think, oh, I'm not going to get anything from the FAFSA, that you do it. Because some schools won't even consider you for merit scholarship sometimes if you don't submit a FAFSA. And from our state, in the state of Illinois, I know that it has now become a graduation requirement. So you want to make sure that you do it sooner rather than later, because we are in the state of Illinois where it matters about first come, first serve. So who can receive the federal student aid? Who can receive federal student aid? Are you a citizen, eligible or national or eligible non-citizen, a student with a high school diploma or GED, which would be equivalent, any eligible degree or certificate program in college or career school that student is enrolled in, and that student has to have a valid social security number. Males must be registered for selective service. And once you enroll in college, you have to make sure you keep up what we call your satisfactory academic progress to make sure that you can continue to receive your federal student aid. So what that means is that you have to make sure you're taking 12 credit hours, which would be 4 classes in your first semester. You have to make sure you're passing those classes with a C or better to keep receiving your federal student aid as you go on. Now, for our students that cannot apply and did not fit in that list, we have what we call our alternative application for Illinois financial aid. This is intended for qualifying undocumented and transgender students. If you guys scan that QR code right there, it will take you exactly where you need to go for this. And it is part of the Retention of Illinois Students and Equity Act, the RISE Act. It allows eligible undocumented students and transgendered students who are disqualified from federal financial aid to apply for all forms of state financial aid. The alternative application for Illinois financial aid provides a pathway to apply for our MAP grant, the Monetary Award Program grant, which, guys, remember, grants, free money. We want all the free money we can receive. So where do we go to apply? This is exactly a screenshot of the front page. I wanted you guys to see what it looked like so you'll know, oh yes, I'm in the right place. You will go to FAFSA.gov, or you can even go to Google and type in My Student Aid, and it's going to take you here, and you're going to click on the link and you'll go to new to the FAFSA process and begin your process. So the beauty about this is it's the night before FAFSA opens. So you guys can go in and can start the process and then press submit tomorrow and be done with the whole process if you get through it. When do I apply? Now. You apply right now. So October 1st I can't believe it, is upon us. We're probably about 7 hours shy of it. It will open at midnight, so you guys can start doing your FAFSA ASAP. You want to complete it before your state's deadline. Depending on what state you're in, it varies. In the state of Illinois, it varies. It can be between February and this year went as far as May and June. So we don't know the deadline until they tell us, and we don't always know it until maybe weeks ahead. So you want to go on and do it as soon as possible so that you don't miss out on receiving any grants. What happens is if you miss that deadline for filling out your FAFSA by the deadline that the state has put down, and your household generally would qualify for grants, you're not going to receive them because you didn't qualify, you didn't apply by the deadline. We're first come, first served state, so we want to make sure that we're getting everything that we're supposed to. The federal deadline to apply is June 30th, 2021. So you have time, but the sooner the better. Let's just get it done. So how much federal aid will I receive? It depends on your financial need. In general, financial need is determined by the expected family contribution and the cost of attendance. So your EFC comes from what you report on that FAFSA form that you're going to be filling out tomorrow and going forward. The cost of attendance is what Torrance went over just in the last session. It's a mix of your tuition, fees, room and board, transportation, etc. It's all of your direct and indirect costs. We know the direct costs are the only ones that get paid to the university, but as a university, we have to give the federal government the exact cost of what it would be if a student was living off campus or if a student was commuting back and forth, so that you include all the students in the process. So they take that cost of attendance, they subtract your estimated financial family contribution, and that equals your financial need. And that's how much they say that the government will say that you qualify for. Now, the maximum amount for loans are set for dependent freshmen. Dependent freshmen in 2021 are students that were filed and claimed on their parents' tax returns. So the federal Pell Grant, it is to be determined for the upcoming year, but the max for this year was $6,345. So that would be the maximum loan amount that a student would be able to get from the, Pell Grant amount that a student would be able to get if they had, say, a 0 EFC. They would still only be able to get that maximum amount. Federal work study, it just depends on what funds are available for each school. And some schools even do like federal work study differently, where it's not just automatically put on your financial award letter. You may need to ask them about it if they say you qualify for it, so that they can go ahead and add it to it. Your direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans has a total of $5,500 for dependent freshmen. That's the max you will receive. So those amounts for grants and loans are set by the federal government every year, and they may go up for next year, they may go down. Now, this is something that we wanted to add in for you guys because, you know, we talk about money, it gets a little heavy. So before we go to the next section, we want to take a little time and we get into our headspaces, who we're going to shout out for a little 30-second meditation, just to give yourself a relaxing time. Breathe, close your eyes, and the countdown is going to start now, and then we'll go on to the next section when it's done.
All right. Well, I definitely enjoyed that 30 seconds just to decompress. That was a lot of information. Just to briefly recap. So hopefully you guys are juniors and seniors, and I just want to quickly share the timeline that all of this kind of happens. So right now, the September is the month that we're in for, you know, about 7 more hours. So right now you should be applying to all the schools that you've been researching. You're able to kind of, now that you understand what direct and indirect costs are, you can kind of break down what a university sticker price is. So basically, as you are applying to the universities, when you are going to complete your FAFSA, you can put every institution that you've applied to. I think maybe there's a, I think there's a limit of 6 or 7, maybe more schools that you can include on your FAFSA. And so basically this whole year for you guys, is going to kind of slow down. So all 3 of our institutions are in 3 different states. And so we all have different times in terms of when an admitted student will receive an award letter. And your award letter basically maps out the cost of attendance, any grants or scholarships that you're going to be receiving. So that's what I'm going to share with you all right now, just basically how to understand your award letter. So kind of coming back to the timeline, you're going to complete all your applications, submit your transcripts to schools. And once you're admitted to that university, and you have a FAFSA on file with the federal government, they're going to send you an award letter. An award letter basically looks at your cost of attendance, the gift aid offered to you, and then it's also going to show something very important, any out-of-pocket expense that you and your family may be responsible for after it's all said and done. And a lot of times, based upon different universities that you may be looking at, this may really come down to the decision of where am I going to go and why am I going to go to this school. I know every advisor or college counselor, they want you to put a list together, something that's based off your fit. Well, when you guys are actually getting your final financial aid award package, and it comes to the out-of-pocket cost, what you and your family are going to have to come up with, this may change the dynamics of the schools on your list. So maybe your number 1 school might have to jump down because this might not work, or a school that was lower on your list has now moved to the top because you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses. So that after you've done your research, for the major that you want to study, now universities it's a fresh look, if you will, once you kind of understand what your total out-of-pocket costs are. So some strategies or some ways that you can take care of any additional out-of-pocket costs that might come that's not covered through your financial aid award, obviously would be a savings plan. Look for outside additional scholarships. We're going to talk about scholarships, but just like have this as something that you're always kind of thinking of. And scholarships are not just limited to first-time freshman students. Once you're admitted to the university that you're choosing to go to, there's also going to be other scholarship opportunities that may be available to you there. Check out any place that you might work, your parents' jobs, and see if they have any other scholarship that you might be eligible for. So personal savings, scholarships, and then there may also be private student loans that you may need to look into, but we're going to talk about all of that more. So a deeper step, and we've got a ton of resources here in the presentation, but if you guys want to take your phones and scan this QR code, this is going to bring you to the consumerfinance.gov website, which is another great resource. Basically, on this site, it will allow you to compare different colleges and universities based on your award letters. So it's really going to help you make that final decision and make a very empowered decision based upon understanding how much this is going to cost you. College is a huge investment, and you all even being here in this presentation today shows that you are up for the challenge and you're trying to get as much information that you can to make a very informed decision. So again, kind of once you get these award letters, another tip, reach out to your financial aid counselor at the school, reach out to your admissions counselor. We can also kind of help you. This doesn't have to be your last conversation or last time you're hearing about this information. We want to still support you. So another link is the collegescorecard.ed.gov. So like I mentioned, now, that out-of-pocket cost may change your mind or change or shift your order of colleges that you were thinking of applying to. This is another site that you can go to that will help you compare costs to make sure that you're getting a very good value for your education. So different types of financial aid. So here are some terms and some words that you should get familiar with. Again, the FAFSA is open tomorrow, October 1st. So you guys are hearing it here. I don't know what school you go to, but maybe for the 10th or 15th time, maybe for the first, but hop online and you can do your FAFSA starting tomorrow. So one of the most important things that the FAFSA does for you is it does an estimated family contribution, an EFC. We shared it, we kind of went over it previously in today's presentation, but that number is very important in terms of any grant, which is a free gift that you would get from either the federal government, or if you're an Illinois resident, you may earn free grants in terms of the MAP grant in Illinois. So grants are typically gifts, so you do not have to pay them back. So based on your family's estimated family contribution, which is the number that you get once you input all of your family's financial information into the FAFSA, the university sees your EFC. And so that is why it's so important, because you want to get that free money because it does run out. So then there's also scholarships, which is gift aid that doesn't need to be paid back. But do read the fine print of some scholarships. When I was an undergraduate student, or actually when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. So I applied for a scholarship that took care of my entire tuition. However, it was a scholarship, but the rules or the fine print says that you have to be able to teach in the state of Illinois post graduating for a certain amount of years. So keep those things in mind when you're looking at scholarships, and what is the fine print, or what is the scholarship's mission, or who's endowed the scholarship and what is their purpose. Another sort of financial aid, and Faye mentioned this, is work study. This is money that is allotted to you, again, based off of your EFC, and the federal government may be able to say, hey, we can offer you a job on your campus. And basically the difference between a work study position and just a regular student employment position is that the federal government actually pays your salary rather than the institution. And so a lot of times people say, oh, can I get work study? Work study has to be awarded through your financial aid award, but there are employment opportunities on each campus, which is another kind of avenue to help kind of take care of some of that out-of-pocket expenses that you might have. And then there are federal loans that are sometimes very, very scary for some folks that may be first-generation college students. Shoot, they're scary for me when I look at the balance. But I will say that a majority of Americans do have some sort of student loan. And although, you do have to pay them back, I can say that the federal government has done a really wonderful job in terms of giving loan forgiveness programs out based upon the field that you want to go into, something similar to another, like an education scholarship. So if you're going in some field of social service, you may be eligible for loan forgiveness. And then they've also got repayment plans that are income-based. So there are different ways that the federal government is helping alleviate some of the burden of our student loans. But again, it is a huge investment, but I don't think that anybody with student loans says that they wish they would not have had them, because obviously your education is something that you can't kind of give back. And it's very, very, very worth it. So there are two types of federal loans. There are unsubsidized loans and there are subsidized loans. Unsubsidized loans means that basically you are accruing interest while you're in school. And subsidized loans means that no interest is being accrued while you're in school. But once you go through the financial aid counseling, you will understand all of that more, but I just want to give you some general information. And then lastly are private loans. And private loans can come through a local bank, maybe your parents' credit union, your credit union where you bank. There's Sally Mae. She is she or he, or if Sally Mae is an it, I hate to put a gender, but Sally Mae is another servicer of private loans. So that's basically the different types of financial aid. But again, I want to stress so much how important it is for you all to fill out that FAFSA beginning tomorrow, because if you are eligible for free money, you want to make sure you just sign up. That's all you got to do is complete the paperwork. And so I'm going to jump into a little bit more information about scholarships. So what is a scholarship? A scholarship is a merit-based and is awarded for a variety of reasons. So most of our institutions have merit-based scholarships that we offer to students that typically come, to those students that apply before November 1st or December 1st. And then you'll be awarded something either based off your GPA, a combination of your GPA or your ACT, SAT scores, community service, things like that. Then there are other types of scholarships that institutions can provide based on athletics. So if you are a golfer, or if you bowl. One of my friends had an actual bowling scholarship when she went to college. So they come in many different size, shapes, forms, amounts. No scholarship is worth not doing the research to try to sign up for it, because again, typically it's free money that does not require any repayment. And sometimes some scholarships may be renewed annually. So it's just not a one-time thing. You may be awarded this scholarship every year. Some are just one-time gifts. But definitely you want to do as much research as you can to find out about scholarships. Okay, so I'm sorry, I missed a couple of more resources in order to find some scholarships. Look at two organizations that you're a part of now, clubs, churches. There are just so many again. So you just want to make sure there are online platforms you can find. One of my rule of thumbs is just to kind of stray away from those scholarship search engines that may require you to pay something. That's kind of like defeating the purpose if you're looking for free money, but you got to pay for it. Red flag. But again, if it's a trusted resource that somebody else has used and it's proven them to be successful, by all means. But do what you can. And again, apply early to institutions that you may be interested in, because you may get scholarships just based off applying early. And I do see some questions, but we are going to wait till the end of the program or our information, and then we'll answer all of the questions.
So as Cyril had mentioned, Sallie Mae is one of the places where you'll be able to see about getting scholarship information. There is a website where you can go to. It's a search engine type of website where you can see the scholarships that are available and if you qualify for them. So you do have to create your own account, but you'll be able to have access to all of the scholarships available. You can see what the requirements are, if you have to write an essay, the amounts. So there are a few different websites like this, but Sallie Mae is one of those websites, and we want to show you what it looks like, okay? So this is an example of what the website looks like. You'll see the scholarship names, you'll see the deadline, and you'll see the amount that's going to be offered. So it's a good idea to keep a spreadsheet or some type of worksheet of all of the scholarships that you apply for, because you may kind of lose track of all of them. If you're really, going to take the time to really see all the money available to you, it's a good idea to just keep a record of them all. So this is a website that you can definitely use, but there are a few other websites that you might consider too. But just keep in mind that it's definitely a good idea to make sure that the website that you're using is legitimate. So if you're being asked to pay anything like some type of sweepstakes, or if there's like a fee to apply for the scholarship, then you definitely want to avoid it, like Sarah had mentioned earlier. So just make sure you avoid places like that. Any place that requires you to pay anything up front is a no-go. You can apply to a scholarship without paying a cent. And Sallie Mae is definitely one of those websites where you can do that. So make sure that you find places and websites just like this, okay?
Thanks, Terrence. That is great. Torrance, I'm sorry. That was great information. I wanted to add on to that because he made a very valid point that you guys should not be paying for any scholarship websites. That includes our athletes out here looking at recruiting sites. You should not have to pay to get your information to colleges, because a lot of coaches are doing things virtually just like we are. Just go to the site, go to the school's website and look up the coach and the sport you're looking at. Now, that's just one of the tips. That's not on here. I just wanted to point that out, though. So when it comes to our scholarship applications, guys, we want to make sure that we're doing everything decent and in order so that we don't miss out on any free money. So if you're going to give me some free money, I want to make sure that I can receive it. So I'm going to make sure I'm meeting the deadline. If you put a deadline out there, I'm not going to be late to show up to get this money. You want to follow all of the instructions. If they do not ask for a resume, do not attach a resume. Sometimes people are very particular about what they want and do not want. And if you do not follow the instructions to a T, then that kind of disqualifies you in a way. And you want to make sure that you stay organized, like Torrance was telling you, and Sarah mentioned it too, you guys. You should have some type of Excel work spreadsheet, a workbook, something that's keeping you organized when you're going through trying to get this scholarship money, because it is out there and you can get as many scholarships. Little scholarships add up. Don't just go for the 5,000, the 10,000, those 500, those 1,000, those 250. You get enough of those. Those can really add up and help you when you're investing in yourself and in your future. You want to make sure you start, if you have not already, get you some strong recommendations. So that means you need to go find someone that you know, when you're not in the room, they speak very highly of you at all times. And it cannot be your mother. So you cannot get your mother or your father. You have to get someone like your English teacher, your principal, your school counselor, maybe your pastor, but it has to be someone that can attest to the quality of the level of your classwork, or maybe your volunteer work, what you do out in the community. Somebody other than, I am a mom of four, I am always going to highly speak up of mine, that's going to talk about how great you are, but do it in a way that they're being maybe not so biased, okay? You always want to make sure that you're creating a lasting impression with your personal essays. How do you do that? So your personal essays, first and foremost, you want to remember the neatness, the spelling and the grammar count, proofread everything. Send it out to someone else to read it over. Maybe you forgot anything. The last thing you want to do is send me a letter telling me how I'm your first choice and you really want this Chancellor Scholarship at Southern Illinois University, and I work at Purdue University Northwest. So you want to make sure, you can use the same letter over and over, but you got to make sure you change the school names. You have to make sure you personalize it. You want to treat your essay like you want to be treated. You want somebody to understand you for you and not confuse you for another school. So that's how you have to do your essay. You have to make sure it's personalized for every school, that you take the time and give it the attention to make sure that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted before you send it in, because it's a representation of you. Your spreadsheets, online calendars, those things are going to help bring a lot of order to the application process. It's going to get crazy in here, guys. We know you got a lot of deadlines. You still are doing your senior year of high school from home, a lot of you. We're with you. We understand it's a lot. So we want to make sure that the process can get streamlined as much as possible. So use all of those great utility things that's in that little phone we all like to carry around, okay? Utilize it for the best thing that you can get out of it. Document all of your accomplishments. This is not a time to start being modest. If you've never bragged on yourself, do it now, okay? This is a great time. That's when you go to mom and ask her, what did I do then? And she can give you that great list of all the things you did, so you can have it on your applications when you're telling us who you are in these scholarship essays or essays for college. And always allow your recommender enough time to write your recommendation letter. You don't want to go to someone the day before or even the week of. If you give them minimum 2 weeks to maximum a month, that would be wonderful, because that gives them a better time to be able to put their thoughts on paper about who they really want you to shine through and show the best light for you. And make sure, above everything, you start your essay early. We are not in a competition, but we want to make sure you take the time, allow yourself plenty of writing time to proofread it, and for others to read it as well. All right, I see those questions coming in. That's great, guys, because we're coming up on the Q&A.
I just wanted to make sure that we use this time appropriately and introduce our schools too. So we're going to just talk about that briefly. So my school, Missouri Southern State University, is obviously located in Missouri. We're in Joplin. So let's say you're in St. Louis. It's maybe 4 hours from there. It's actually going towards Oklahoma and kind of the corner of Missouri. So it's actually a really small school, but we have a really big, experience and personality. So we have 140 programs, actually over 140 programs. Our enrollment is at 5,600. Tuition is going to be really affordable at our school with 7,400. We actually have a Lion Pride territory. So if you're coming from Illinois If you're coming from, I don't know, Texas, these states pay in-state tuition too. So there is no out-of-state tuition for you guys. Our room and board, let's say it's a traditional dorm with the most expensive meal plan, it's going to be $6,476. So it's pretty affordable at our school, and also very comfortable. We have 70 plus student organizations. We have 15 athletic programs, and we're Division II in the NCAA. Also, we are participating in MIAA as well. So since we are a small school, we have small classes. So majority of them are going to be under 30. You are going to get that one-on-one experience from your teacher. I didn't mention the classes, the kind of majors that we have, the really popular ones at least, but there's biology, business, education, there's criminal justice, and business. Those are our top 5. And what's great about our school is a hands-on experience. So you will be working in those classrooms. You will be getting in those crime investigation labs, and you will be working with students really young, you know, while you're in your freshman and sophomore years, because that's really what we want you to have while you're in school, so that you won't be surprised when you leave. Okay. Our requirements are in the far right. You just need one of the 3 to get in. So if you have a 21 ACT or a 2.25 GPA or better, you're going to be admitted. Okay. So if you want more information, I'll be happy to talk to you about it some more. Yeah, there's a QR code right there you can scan. And then in the middle, I have this big announcement. We have over 100 new scholarships, okay? So we have a new academic scholarship too. So if you have at least a 3.0 GPA or better with a 20 ACT score, you'll get a minimum of $2,000. But you can receive a maximum of $5,000 if you have that, if you have the qualifying GPA and ACT score, okay? So if you want more answers, or if you want me to give more information on that, all you got to do is scan that code, or I'll be happy to put my information in the Q&A so you can reach out to me further, okay?
Thank you, Torrance. All right, so I represent Purdue University Northwest. We are a 4-year public state university in the state of Indiana. We are also part of the Purdue University system. So although we are part of the Purdue University system, you're going to get, I shouldn't say although, because we are, you're going to get an excellent education. But on the other side of that, we're our own institution. So you're going to get approximately 10,000 students, a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. We're a medium-sized campus. We have 2 beautiful campuses you get to choose from if you want to study in Hammond. We're about 25 miles southeast from downtown Chicago. Our Westville campus is about 15 miles from the Indiana Dunes. So both of those locations, you can study any of our 70 plus areas of majors and minors. You can participate in any of our 15 NCAA Division II intercollegiate athletic teams, or one of our 100 plus student organizations. The only thing you can't do in Westville, but you can do in Hammond, is live on campus. So we have housing in Hammond, but not in Westville, but we have a shuttle that goes in between the 2. So don't worry about that. Our housing runs $5,707 for your full academic year, and we have apartment style living. So what that means is that when you come in, you're going to have your own private bedroom. You have 2 full, I don't know what happened with our slides, so Sarah's taking over right now, but you have 2 full baths with a 4 bedroom, and if you have a 2 bedroom, then it's going to be 1 full bath. But you also have a shared kitchen and living room shared space. So all of that inclusive with your utilities and your Wi-Fi is going to make you really underneath the price of what you really would pay in the cost of Chicagoland area when you're looking at your apartment living if you was living on. So when it comes to it, we have a low cost of $11,521. And that is for the full academic year as well. If you want to apply now, just scan there. As I said, we had some little technical difficulties there, so I apologize for our slides jumping all over the place right there, but I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Sarah. If you have any questions, just please reach out to me.
Thanks so much, guys. Again, my name is Sarah and I represent SIU Carbondale. So SIU Carbondale is located in beautiful Carbondale, Illinois. We have a total of about 12,000 students enrolled. And we are now offering merit-based scholarships solely based off of your GPA alone. So we are no longer requiring an SAT or an ACT score. So as long as a student has been admitted to the university with at least a 2.75 cumulative unweighted GPA, you will earn merit-based scholarships from us. As you can see, I've got a QR code, so you can scan that if you want more information about our scholarships, or if you'd like to connect with me one-on-one. We have over 200 areas of study, so there's definitely something for everyone on our campus. We have over 300 clubs and organizations. Nearly 90% of all of our students on campus have received some form of financial aid. So I'm going to repeat that, 90% or more of our students do receive some sort of financial aid to attend our university. So this is something that we value ourselves in really truly investing back into our students. And so now I want to just give a little bit more time for us to kind of go over the questions. Some folks had asked them in the chat, and I tried to kind of keep up, but I'm going to share them now with everyone. So someone asked, is it too early for juniors to apply for the FAFSA? Do we need to wait until our senior year? The answer, Faye, do you want to answer that?
Yes. And yes, you have to wait until your senior year to apply. So if you apply this year, it won't count because it's for the year that you're going to be going the following fall. So October 1st, 2020 is for our graduates of the class of 2021. If you're 2022, then you will apply October 1st, 2021.
All right, and the next question, for applying for FAFSA, if I haven't already applied to all the colleges that I want to include on my FAFSA, is that okay? Would I be able to go back and put that information into the FAFSA later, yes or no? Torrance, did you answer that one or did I?
I'll be happy to go over that. So if you haven't applied to all the schools that you want to, possibly see if you can get into, then you can definitely include it when you're going through FAFSA, maybe the first couple times, because they'll have a place where you can actually list your colleges. You can actually list up to 10. So it's actually, recommended that you do that so that you can see the different reward letters across the, the board, not just at one specific school. Once you make a decision though, and you know where you want to go, you can go back into FAFSA, log in and change your information so that it reflects just the one school you want to go to. So you'll probably log in more than once. It's very likely you'll log in more than once. But you just have to make sure that you're logging all your information, that you're saving all your information each time you make a change. So to answer your question, you don't necessarily have to have a decision yet the first time you start filling out your FAFSA, but go back through it and make sure that you save it once you do have your final decision.
Okay. One other thing to note is that you will do a FAFSA every year that you're in college. If I apply for various scholarships as an incoming freshman, will they stay throughout college or are they just paying for my freshman year? It really depends on the scholarship type. There are renewable scholarships that you can get. A lot of those merit-based scholarships, like I mentioned that my university does, it also requires you to maintain a certain GPA throughout your time. So let's say your sophomore year, you did really great, but then your junior year, your GPA slips. You may lose that scholarship money. Yeah, so it just varies by institution or scholarship type. We've only got a couple minutes, I'm sorry to rush, but how many letters of recommendation is optimal?
3, just have 3 on hand. If you could get 2, that's really all you need.
Somebody asked a question, but it was like a great question because it was a great answer. Am I allowed to use past teachers or a speech pathologist to write me a letter of recommendation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you have worked with anybody in the past who have something really nice to say about you, if they work with you professionally, then that is a person that you would want to consider. I would say try to avoid relatives because it's a really close bond there, and it might look like, you know, you're trying to like play the system a little bit. But if you use somebody who really got to know you over the time that you've been, you know, in relationship with them, then that will look more legitimate to the institution. So, and to answer your question, yes.
Sarah, can we get to the last question? Because that's a really good one. Because, you know, I love freshmen.
Yes, and I just typed.
So what's the question, Reed?
What would you recommend for a freshman in high school to prepare financially for college? Thank you for being here.
Okay, so as a freshman, this is how you prepare financially. We give money to kids that score well and who test well and who do well in school. So keep your grades up, become active. If you're a kid that has like a job and you can't do extracurriculars, that counts. We look at that. Hard work counts a lot when we're looking at it on our end. And scholarship, those are the things that add that money up for you. So keep your grades up and stay active. That's what we recommend for you to do as a freshman. We're looking at all of your grades from the first day you come in.
I also would add, if you have an opportunity to take any dual credit courses or AP courses, that is how you can kind of save money, because you're going to pay a fraction of the cost and you'll be coming in with college courses or college credit. But that is a great question, and you guys were on it. I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with us.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It really was a great session. So we know that we had some questions down there, and it's getting ready to wrap up now, though.
Yeah, so thank you all for attending. Let me just go ahead and share here a few closing comments. But thank you to our presenters. They covered a lot of information in a short of time. So if you did have more questions and you wanted to enter it before you left, they can follow up with you. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. When you close this window, you are going to get a quick survey with 4 questions, and we do appreciate your feedback. This is also just one of many sessions being hosted, so if you'd like to sign up for more, you can go to IACAC.org, and in about a week you will be able to find this session's recording, because you might want to go back and listen to some of the information. It helps to hear it again as you go through the process, and all of that should be up in about a week, and that is also at IACAC.org. So thank you for coming. We appreciate it, and have a good day.